I wanted to talk to you about the movie called The Invisibles, and I found it to be very interesting for a few different reasons. Let's start with the storyline. The individual by the name of Charlie feels like he is losing touch with reality due to a trauma that was caused by a loss of his young son. And he doesn't know how to really stay focused in his life. There's this sadness, he's pulling away, and he's not really consciously present, which is causing problems with his marriage, which is causing problems with his work. He doesn't seem to be excelling in any area. And at some point, he just keeps seeing himself fading and fading away until he literally does fade away. His wife can't see him anymore. His friends can't see him anymore. And he steps into this other dimensional world and he makes new friends. But he learns some things out of this. And on top of it all, he gets to visit his son, who has already passed over. So one could say, oh, well, then he must have died. But he doesn't really die. He comes back. So there was no incident of a true death. So then you start to wonder, well, what is this movie really about? Do we really get to a place where we become invisible? But I'm going to separate that. There's two questions here. One is this what it's like in the afterlife? Especially those earthbound souls. I say yes. Very often, as someone that has worked with people that have passed over or haunted places, the haunted places are a perfect example of similar to that bowling alley, where the people are still residing there, and they see anyone else there as an intrusion. So they literally are still in that space, but in a off dimension or on the other side of the veil. This is what a medium sees. Medium steps into that space. They can see and communicate with those who are on the other side of the veil. Those individuals who are dead, usually they're not that happy. They're usually more unhappy. That's why there's paranormal. They do shake and move things, very similar to what was going on in the movie. And so then people get frightened because they don't see anyone else there, or they can actually feel a sensation of someone touching them. And that's someone on the other side. But there's another element to this. People who go deep into depression or are very, very unhappy or mistreated in a lot of ways can slip into a space where they literally feel like they're invisible. And that's because they're stepping out of the body. They're kind of pulling themselves from this reality into that other reality slightly, but just slight enough where they're in between. And do they become literally invisible? No. But they don't have that personal power. They can't really speak for themselves. They feel very defeated and they're not fully engaged. They don't do really well in social situations because they're not quite here. And a lot of times, those same individuals are communicating with someone that they can't necessarily see, or they feel like they have a conversation with someone. It's because they're in between that space, that they are literally in a conversation with that other reality beyond the veil. But they're still here. They're not dead. So that's the second point. There's a third one, which I had experienced, and I know some people have experienced, but not a lot of people have experienced, where it's related to some kind of my lab reality, whereas you're not depressed, there's nothing going on, but there is some kind of phenomenon or corporation, entity, ET of some sort that literally closes you off. boxes you in. And it's like you screaming, but no one can hear you. This is another type of paranormal activity that can occur. It's kind of scary. Sorry if I'm frightening some of you. But for those that are, targeted individuals, people that have gone through different kinds of trauma, people that have an awareness of their third eyes open, they can see certain things, and they know that there is something unusual happening to them. So it's not about, oh, this is, for people with mental illness or people that are on medications. Yeah, people on medications can sometimes, it opens up the third eye and you can peer into that other realm. But there's like this a point of being trapped energetically. And I know that some people have been trapped energetically. And once you get liberated from it, you seem to be more present here. And I recommend that people don't stay in that space, because as you can see in this movie, the longer you stay in that space, the further or deeper you get into passing over that veil, whether that is feeling more and more isolated or literally bringing on a premature death. And so the reason for bringing this up is to encourage people to identify anything if it looks similar to whatever your experience is. If this doesn't relate to anything at all, then I'm happy for you. But my discussions are usually for people that are looking for solutions, or for those that are trying to understand the paranormal and how it works and what it's like to be on the other side. Is this the heaven scenario? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. There are other places that a soul can go to. This is what I talk about, is earthbound souls that haven't quite figured out why they're there. They haven't quite figured out why they died or how they died, or they haven't quite released whatever it is, or someone that's still alive that they're holding on to, and it keeps them there, or severe trauma. As I said, they were abused, violated, or they've been through like something severe like a fire, and or a serious accident of some sort, or a tremendous storm that killed them. So a major trauma that was unexpected can hold a soul or souls in a certain location. So for educational purposes, I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to talk about it. And hopefully, when you watch the movie, you see and learn and open up to different ideas that, first of all, what we see is not everything. There are other things that are unseen, and life has many levels of existences, and that sorrow brings people into places that they wouldn't normally go. So I recommend keeping a higher vibration, keeping a more upbeat feeling in your mind. Do those things that make you happy, even when things are difficult around you. Learn to communicate better, and reach out for help if you need help, because there's always someone there to listen. So thank you. And don't forget to watch the movie, and have a good day.